My name is Geddes, and you're tuned in to the NepoXchange Podcast. I like to walk a golf club, of course, because as far as I'm concerned, you need to feel a course in your feet. So that's quite critical to it, and not only that, but it's good exercise. There's nothing better than going out into the township or out into the countryside and playing a game of golf. There's something special about that. So I think at the end of the day, one of the critical ones to me is about development. I think you need to develop the youngsters of today, to give them an opportunity, to give them a vision, to give them a dream of what they can achieve and where they can go to.
Hello and welcome to the NepoXchange Podcast. Today we are joined by a man who's helped transform one of South Africa's iconic landscape, which is the Soweto Country Club. We're joined by Geddes, who's the general manager, and he's on a journey and a mission to redefine what golf and township pride can look like. Welcome, Gary, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Look forward to it.
So today we just want to have you here, obviously, to get to know you, especially because we've had the pleasure of obviously connecting through the Township Energy Fund project. So we just obviously want to get to know the man behind the desk, obviously at the country club, but also just share some of your journey of working within the community of Soweto and the work that you've done or what the country club has also done. So we're gonna have fun with it, and we're gonna start with a few icebreakers as well. We start with what we call icebreakers, and it's a few games that we're going to play. And the first one is called This or That. So I'll give you two options and you have to choose between one. So the first one is, do you choose a golf club or do you like walking around the course?
I like to walk a golf club,
of
course, because as far as I'm concerned, you need to feel a course in your feet. So that's quite critical to it, and not only that, but it's good exercise. And at my age, I need to exercise.
Yeah, that's good. That's fair. And then the next one, do you prefer city golf clubs or township golf clubs? Now that you work, obviously, at one of the most iconic one in the township.
So they both have their own flair about them. A city club is always enjoyable to play. It sits in suburbia. And it's very nice, but there's nothing better than going out into the township or out into the countryside and playing a game of golf. There's something special about that.
All right, okay, I get it. And then, do you prefer morning tee off or do you prefer sunset golf?
Okay, so I'm very much an afternoon golfer. I don't like the morning, and especially in these winter times, it is cold. And golf's very much a feel game. You've got to feel it. And so I'm very much an afternoon player. Okay, great. And then do you also then prefer leading from the front or empowering behind the scenes? No, I like to lead from the front.
Okay, all right, okay. So you're a born leader. So next one, we get to a game that is called One Must Go. So I'll give you 4 options, and then you're going to have to choose one thing that you can do without out of the 4. So the first one is sports tourism, then youth development, golf heritage, and township revitalization. So out of the 4, which one do you choose?
So one of those you don't, I must exclude.
Yeah, so maybe like you can, these 3, the top 3 are like your main priority. And then the 4th is like, okay, you can do it, but you can also do away with it.
So I think at the end of the day, one of the critical ones to me is about development. I think you need to develop the youngsters of today, to give them an opportunity, to give them a vision, to give them a dream of what they can achieve and where they can go to. Tourism is critical, but it would probably take a bit more of a back seat, because at the end of the day, people will just find themselves at Soweto because of the fact that Soweto is so iconic.
Absolutely.
And so they will get there whether I tell them that or not. They're gonna find me rather than I find them.
Yeah.
And then the other two were.
The other two were golf heritage and township revitalization.
Yeah. I think township revitalisation is also important for me, and that's why I am at Soweto, because I think we've got to get rid of this perception that the township is unsafe.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that perception is difficult to get into people's minds, that you can play golf in the township and be very comfortable and be very safe.
Absolutely.
So those would be my 3 top priorities.
All right. Okay. Great. Then what we get into now, this game is called, we call it mean tweets, but it's also stereotypes. So things that people would say. And what we have here, the one that we have here is that people say country clubs or golf clubs are just space for the elites, and they are not made for the ordinary South Africans. What would you say to something like that? It's a stereotype and an assumption that people just make.
Look, there's certainly an element of truth in that. In that golf is expensive. There's no doubt about it. Equipment is expensive. Accessories is expensive. So you would understand that people see it as an elite sport.
Yeah.
But what we do at Soweto, and I think that's one of the big pluses, is that we try and ensure that we give an opportunity to the community to play golf at a very reasonable price.
Okay.
And we do that, and I think we do it very successfully. So what we do is we want to give back to the community. So those people that are members of the golf club are part of the community, and they pay a lower rate.
Okay.
So where do we get our money from? Because like all things in life, you've got to run a business and you've got to find the financing. And so we then get that financing from tourism as well as visitors who come and enjoy the iconic Soweto.
All right. Okay. Then the next one that we get into is what we call 2 truths and a lie. So you'll tell me 2 truths about you and a lie, and then I must guess which one is true and which one is a lie. So I don't know if you want to.
No, I'm more than willing to do that.
All right, okay.
I'm hardworking.
Okay.
I am reliable.
Okay.
And I used to be a professional golfer.
That's difficult. This is the first episode where it's really difficult for me to choose. I mean, because you work at a country club, I would assume that that has been. I think you have been a professional golfer before, but now you're also hardworking and reliable. I don't know which one is a lie. I think the professional golfer. Maybe you have played golf. I feel like because I did my research on you to prepare for this episode, and I feel like I've seen something about your days playing golf. I don't know which one it is. I think the professional might be the lie.
I think you're right.
Okay, all right. This one was slightly difficult. I usually get it right very quickly, but this one was slightly difficult. All right, thank you. And then the last thing on this segment is what we call a ticket list. So what is the one thing that is on your ticket list that you really like? This I must do either before I get to the certain age or before obviously I depart from this.
So those tick box or wanting to do certain things. I've had a good life, and I've run quite a bit of the race. Okay. So I've done a lot in my life. I've travelled. I've been to big sporting events, and so those are all done and dusted. I've played golf at St Andrews, so those tick boxes are there. Okay. I really would like to, in my latter part of my years on this life, is to give of what I've learnt to somebody who's willing to learn. And I think that would be what I would try and do the most of is impart my experience to a younger person who in turn could then take over the mantle and do what I've done.
Okay, absolutely. That's beautiful. And it actually ties in quite nicely to my next question, which speaks to if you could speak to younger Gary right now, like maybe from 20 years ago, especially because you're saying you want to impart this knowledge. So obviously maybe you wished that somebody could have done that for you. But if you could speak to younger Gary right now from 20 years ago, what, or maybe if they were listening to this podcast, what would you want them to take away from this episode?
So I think the big thing today is that the youth of today want things instantaneously. They want quick
Instant
gratification. And quick gratification doesn't always come easy. Some people get lucky and it happens to them early on in their lives. But the majority of the people need to work hard in order to get somewhere. And I've grown up like that. So you need to start working at the grassroots level. If I was younger now, I would try and learn the different departments. I'd spend some time being involved in the golf department, how they run golf, how they run a golf day. I would try and be involved in the food and beverage department and try and see exactly how food is prepared, how it's costed. I'd spend time with the greenkeeper just to make sure that at the end of the day and learn from him as to what he does, what are his general greenkeeping practices. And so those would be the areas that I would start to look at and slowly build myself up. And then if I was fortunate enough to have a mentor and was able to learn from the mentor, I think that's where you would then you would be grounded in what you've learnt and grounded in what you have to do. Then I believe you will be a success, and you will then give so much more than just arriving and landing in the midst of this whole thing and think you know it all, because we don't know it all. Even I, in this day, learn day by day.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Gary. And just before we get to the next segment, in a nutshell, what you're saying is that be eager to learn, try out different things, be grounded, find somebody you can learn from, which would be a mentor. And I do hope that obviously our listeners are taking that in and listening to that. So we're just obviously getting into our second segment, which is where we get to know you a bit more, right? So you've been quite instrumental in repositioning the Soweto Country Club. And so what I obviously want to get into is what's been the most rewarding part of your journey for you personally?
For me personally, when I arrived at Soweto, there were lots of challenges, lots of opportunities, but lots of challenges. And the challenges is what I enjoy tackling. So if there's a problem, I'm somebody that finds a solution to a problem. Okay. And so my biggest thing at Soweto was when I took over the position, there was lots of things that weren't right, and so it became my main objective to go and correct as much as I could within a short space of time to provide a facility that was not necessarily the best, because it takes a while to get to the best, but a facility that was acceptable to both member and to visitor.
Okay. All right, great. I think you just touched on this now, and we spoke about it earlier as well. With golf being seen as an elite sport like it is, you mentioned that one of the things that the country club does well is affordability, right? So what other things would you say that you've been obviously doing or implementing to make sure that it's accessible to young people, or other people rather, within the community?
Yeah, so I've touched on development.
Okay.
So we have a policy at Soweto where as a junior member of the club, you don't pay subscriptions and you don't pay a green fee to play. So we provide free golf to juniors, and obviously we try and help wherever we can to build the youth up, because it's the youth that is the future, and so it's important that they get the best opportunity that they can get to hone their skills, to become good golfers, and we hope in the midst of them all lies a Tiger Woods.
Absolutely. We do hope so. We also spoke about that you like to lead from the front. So let's just get more into your leadership approach. In terms of your journey and where you've been, what's been your guiding philosophy, obviously, especially because you lead such a historic place within Soweto. We spoke about how iconic it is. So what would you say has been your guiding philosophy in terms of how you lead? Yeah.
So I try and lead by example. Okay. I think that's the most critical thing. If I see a problem, I want to solve it. So that's my style. It might be a little bit micromanaging, but at the end of the day, I have staff, and I have to look after that. To look after the staff, and so I take an interest in what they do. I take an interest in what the cleaner does. I'm happy to have a cup of coffee with the golf marshal. I'm happy for him to sit in my office. I have an open door policy. I know that my staff can walk into my office at any time and can discuss things. And I'm happy to listen to their problems and to try and find a solution to that. So that's how I lead. I'm open. I'm the face of the club. I like to think that I carry the brand, and that is all about just wanting to make Soweto a better place.
That's absolutely amazing, and I think it also takes us to our next question, but also because of how we got to meet you as Nepoworx through the Township Energy Fund project, and I think I can attest to the fact that you've really been great in terms of also just helping us when we were obviously helping you, so helping each other, just obviously making sure that we get the work done properly, but also even when we call you obviously to do reports or interviews, you've always been so willing. So thank you for that as well. And I'm just saying that I do attest to your leadership, that you are the face of the brand. You are always willing obviously to have a discussion with us. So thank you. Yeah. And then just getting into the next question, and the Township Energy Fund, as I discussed, the country club recently received the renewable energy solution in terms of panel and solar installation from the Nepoworx and IDC's Township Energy Fund. So what I wanted to obviously know, what has this meant for the country club from a obviously in terms of the business, operationally and symbolically, what has this meant for you?
Before I get into that, I need to commend both the IDC and obviously yourselves for the way the whole process was dealt with. You know, I heard it on the radio about the fact that the IDC were willing to get to look at renewable energy within the townships. From the time I went onto the website and made application to the time that the whole system got fitted was 4 weeks. Now, I can tell you now, in any given business anywhere in the world, to have had that happen in such a short time is just phenomenal.
Absolutely.
So going to your question then, the question is that, you know, what has it done for Soweto?
Yeah.
What is this renewable energy done for Soweto? Now, I'm sure those of you that are aware, Soweto has great difficulty with power and with water. Yeah. There are lots of interruptions. There's lots of power reductions. There's often many leaks in terms of water. So what do we do at the country club? And you know, it leads to all sorts of things. If you haven't got power, you haven't got Wi-Fi. You can't then run your system. We can't check people in. If I don't have water, then my toilets don't work. And it's a public facility. People are coming there all the time. So the fact that we've been able to get power has given us a new lease on life, because we now have a situation where we have uninterrupted Wi-Fi. We're able to check people in. We're able to run the pump that runs the JoJo tanks, which feeds the toilets, with water all the time. It's been a lifesaver. It really and truly has. And as I say, when I first got there, it was the biggest frustration that I faced. Today, with the IDC's intervention as well as yours, it's gone. We now know where we stand, and we can comfortably give a facility that is as good as anything else.
Thank you. I think that was the whole purpose of this whole program, to ensure that, you know, we make things easier for small businesses within the township, but also ensure that we offer solutions that can grow the businesses, but also help you operate and also help your employees, and in turn obviously grow the businesses and ensure that obviously there's more jobs that are being created, more opportunities that are being created within the community. So I think thank you for that, for what you've just said as well, but also just it ties in nicely as well to the next question, which is obviously in closing for this segment, is what advice would you give for other small businesses, especially within the township, who are looking to get or attract investments or support, such as what the country club got through the energy fund?
I just think they must try and be aware and listen wherever they can to these opportunities, because they are out there. There's no doubt about it. They're there, and so, you know, if you can just be aware of it, you know, spend some time, Google, have a look at if you've got a problem, see if there's something out there that can that the government can provide.
Yeah, keep your ear on the ground.
Keep your ear on the ground, because I think that's it's there. We just need to dip in it, and rather than just expect it to happen, go and look for it, do the hard work, and then it'll come back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Gary. And then just as we are getting closer to our third segment, or wrapping up, what legacy do you want to leave, both in terms of your work at the country club, but also within tourism or golf clubs in South Africa, and also just personally for you, what legacy do you want to leave?
Well, I would love to see Soweto being one of the most sought after golf clubs, not only in the Gauteng area but even in the country, and because of its iconic status. Because of the likes of Nelson Mandela and Desmond Tutu, who lived in Soweto, in the township, that to me would be absolutely fantastic. That you knew that you could actually come to Soweto, understand what it's all about, and if you were a sportsman, could actually go and play on a golf course. It's right in the midst of the people of Soweto.
Okay, all right. I've had quite a few people say that golf teaches you things like discipline, patience, and vision, right? What would you say are some of the things that the sport has taught you, both from a leadership and obviously navigating the complex environments that obviously you find yourself in, or you work in terms of what you do?
So it's probably one of the most difficult games to play.
Okay.
That's the first thing. So it doesn't come naturally to everybody, and to large amount of people that it does come naturally to, you've still got to practice.
Yeah.
So it really is tough, but there's something about it which keeps people engrossed in it. It's almost like a little bit of a drug. Once you've got it, you can't let go of it. So it does, yes, you have to work hard, you've got to be dedicated, but with that dedication comes a lot of pleasure. Okay. And so when you combine those elements together, it is the greatest sport that you can ever play.
Okay, beautiful. And what would you say keeps you grounded? Like, how do you stay grounded, especially on tough days? Like, what is something that you say you do? Do you listen to music? Do you play golf? Or what other things do you do that obviously keeps you grounded and especially get you through the tough days? Yeah,
so I suppose like all things in life, what's the little hobby that keeps you, that relaxes you?
Yeah.
I like to go home and just spend my time relaxing. I do a little bit of cooking, which I find quite enjoyable. So when I get home, I think about that. glass of wine always helps.
Okay.
So those are little things that I would think. So
what is your favorite meal to cook? Sorry to just cut you. I just want to.
I love pasta.
Okay,
and
right.
carbonara pasta to me, the simple pastas.
Do you make it from scratch?
From scratch, yeah.
Okay, all
the
right.
simple pastas that the Italians created is something that I love, and it takes 3 or 4 ingredients.
Okay.
And you produce something that is just unbelievable.
Okay, beautiful. If you could mentor, and I think this is what you do, obviously, especially with the people you work with, but as you mentor, if you could mentor one person from Soweto, what is the first mindset lesson that you'd want to teach them?
Learn. Just learn as much as you possibly can. Take it all in. It all in. In order to become a general manager or a CEO of a company, you can't be that straight away. You have to slowly but surely learn what takes place, understand the business, and in that way, eventually, when you get to the role, it'll come automatically, and you'll be very good at it.
Absolutely beautiful. Lastly, what is next for the country club? Obviously, things that you can share. What is next, and what plans and projects are you working on that people who are fans of the country club, but also communities and anybody else can look forward to seeing?
Well, obviously, we're wanting to improve our facility, so that's critical.
Okay.
But improving comes money, and you've got to then get out there and find sponsorships. Because if you don't get that, you certainly can't go anywhere. But I would like to get that facility upgraded to a level which is more than acceptable, which makes your time at the country club that much more pleasurable. So I can go there for a cup of coffee, have a bit of Wi-Fi, do a bit of work. I could meet with some people and have a little meeting there, and have the smell of coffee just in the clubhouse. And it's things like that I think makes people's lives enjoyable, where they're almost wanting to go to the club, rather than saying, well, I'll go and play golf, but I don't really want to go there. So it's the time that they want to spend outside of golf, which attracts them to the golf course and per se to the clubhouse. So if we can get those facilities right, I really believe that we'll have a lot more people there, a lot more social people using the facility. We could create a social membership where you feel that this is my home away from home.
Okay, all right, beautiful. So I've seen, just to wrap up, I've seen the work that you guys do, as I keep saying. And when we were there at the country club for the very first time, it was so great to see a lot of a few retired fathers or men rather, who were there to play golf and just relax. And I thought, because I'm from a village, and I thought this would be such a great way for my dad, who's retired and is staying at home, to obviously just relax, and have something that he can enjoy on his off days or when he's relaxed. So I think you're doing a phenomenal job, and I do hope that you get the funding that you need. I hope our viewers are watching. If you want to invest, this is the right place to invest in. So yeah, I really, really want to commend you and wish you guys the best of luck, and I hope that you do great.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that, and thank you for the time that you've given and the opportunity you've given us to be able to tell the Soweto Country Club story.
Thanks, Gary. And to thank you for your time and for being a guest on our podcast. We just have a small token of appreciation for you to obviously keep you going. So you can open it now, or you don't have to.
Well, thank you very much. They always say presents like this must be kept.
Yes.
It's a bit like a Christmas thing. Keep it under the tree.
Beautiful.
And open it the next day. But thank you very much. Yes. I appreciate that. And
it's a pleasure.
It's really gracious of you.
It's a pleasure. We hope you enjoy it. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this episode. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Go to all our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, as well as on TikTok now. So you'll see a few of our snippets. You'll see a few of our clips with Gary as well. And do watch the full episode, and make sure that you also share. Even on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, we're there. Until next time, enjoy.